Today I have these unfinished wood acorns, and I'll be honest, I cannot remember where I grabbed them from, but you can always recreate them using some cardboard or some thick paper. I'm going to start by using my Gen foam brush and some General Finishes Antique Walnut Gel Stain, and I'm going to gel stain the bottom of all of the acorns. Now once the bottoms were covered with the gel stain, while it was still wet, I took a piece of paper towel and I'm just going to rub the gel stain in. This just gets off any excess gel stain, and you can see how you can see the grain of the wood in the gel stain, and I just love working with this. And I'm going to allow that to fully dry. I have these napkins that I got from Target, and you can see how on the back it states that it's a 3-ply napkin. This simply means there are 3 layers to the napkin. And this is important when we start to decoupage. But I'm going to start by just cutting the design out of the napkin, and I'm cutting little rectangles, and I want just as many of the napkin rectangle as I have in acorns. So I cut 7 little rectangles, and I'm going to use my Wise Owl 1-hour enamel clear. This is the matte finish. It also comes in satin or semi-gloss. And I'm going to remove those layers from my napkin. So there's the first layer, and then there's still a second layer, and then the third layer is the designed part. And I'm just going to take the designed part only, and using my Gen foam brush in the 1-hour enamel clear, I'm going to apply it to the top part of the acorn. And I want to leave this light, so you can leave it the bare wood, or you can also paint it white before applying your napkin. Then I'm going to lay the napkin down, and you want to place the saran wrap on top and use your brayer. And while everything is still wet, you're going to apply another layer of the 1-hour enamel. So again, the 1-hour enamel, you're going to remove the layers from your napkin. Lay your napkin down. Take a piece of saran wrap in your brayer and roll out the bubbles and wrinkles, and then apply the 1-hour enamel on top of that. And I repeated that step until I had all of the acorns covered with the napkin. And I'm going to allow it to fully dry. Once it's dry, I have a razor blade, and I'm going to use that to cut the bottom part of my napkin off. Since there's a little cutout in the acorn, this was the easiest way to get to it. And then you want a light grit sandpaper, and you're going to go in like a downward motion and just sand off all the excess napkin. And this is going to give you a nice, clean, finished edge. If you go up, sometimes I find that rips the napkin. And I did that on all of my acorns until I had all of the extra napkin removed from my project. Now you can also use the Wise Owl varnish or Mod Podge to decoupage your napkin as well. Next, I have this board. It was actually a board I had tried using for another project, and I messed it up. So instead of throwing it out, I'm going to fix it up a little bit. And since I painted it, I'm going to start by applying my Wise Owl primer. If you have a brand new board, you do not have to do this step. Once the primer was dry, I then took my Wise Owl Snow Owl chalk synthesis paint and gave that a coat as well. Now the primer just helped cover up the previous paint job, but it will also help any bleeding through the wood as well. I have these wood letters. I get them from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to pick my word, which is gather, and I'm going to spray paint those white. You can also paint them. Now you want as many acorns as you have in letters, so I went with a shorter word than what I previously was going to do, so I just took away 1 acorn. And I'm going to use my hot glue and glue 1 letter onto the center of the acorn. I went back to my board once it was dry, and I'm going to give it a quick little sanding. The sanding just takes out any raised areas in the paint, any brush marks, and if you want a distressed look, you can also sand it heavily. It will just help smooth out the paint. And I'm going to remove the sanding dust. Then I'm going to take my acorns and I'm going to place them on my board, and I'm just going to kind of change the position of each acorn, and I'm using this popsicle stick so that I put the acorn evenly throughout the board. And I'm just adhering it with the hot glue. You can also use Elmer's wood glue. And I had previous holes I needed to cover up, but you can make these lay in any position of your choice. I have this raffia, and I'm just going to make little raffia bows. And I'm going to add them to the top of my acorn. Now, sometimes you can find this right at the Dollar Tree. I believe I got these rolls from Hobby Lobby. And I just glued each bow to the top of my acorn. And this is what we have so far. And to finish it off, I'm going to go around the border of the piece of wood with some gel stain. So I'm just applying the gel stain on top of the paint and then rubbing it in with a piece of paper towel. And I liked how this looked rather than the all-white background. And there we go. Now we just have this very cute gather sign. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Paint products, tissue paper, transfers, and mesh stencils can all be found on our webpage at chalkitupfancy.com. And don't forget, you can also check out other tutorials on our webpage as well. Have a great day.